track. Let's be honest. No, there's no drummer out there that plays like a computer or Pro Tools. You
Right,
know.
absolutely.
So so there's
Except for Mike Mangini.
yeah, Mike Mangini, dude. I love that guy.
Hey guys, welcome to the 180 Drums podcast. My name is Jake Nicole, your host, not only on 180 Drums, but of this podcast. I'm also online a lot on social media, hacking into the 180 Drums account, commenting and liking on everybody's stuff, and just being stoked to be a part of the community. So guys, super grateful that I get to do this, and so honored that I've got to meet and connect with so many of you. If you guys have questions, I want to start this podcast off right away by saying you can feel free to hit me up, Jake at 180drums, 180drums.com. That's my personal email address, so feel free to reach out to me. Let me know what you think of this show, because on today's show, we have Stix online. He's at Stix the drummer. This is Keith Stix McJimson, folks. This guy is the drummer with Ariana Grande. We already give him a good introduction in the show, so you're going to get to hear a little bit about his background, how he's arrived at the drummer that he is today. But also, he's going to introduce himself and chat a little bit about his experiences. And I'm really excited for you guys today to hear from Keith, because he has great perspectives on how to be successful within the music industry, which is a common theme now at 180 and on this podcast, because it's important. And at the heart of it, it's always relationships and it's always hard work. And it's really fun that we get to do all that stuff. So, guys, without further ado, Keith Stix McJimson. And real quick, actually, go to 180drums.com/Stix, S-T-I-X, the drummer. So 180drums.com/Stix, the drummer. And we're going to put up all the show notes from this, including tons of wicked pictures of Keith out on stage in Japan, playing in front of what I think is like 60,000 plus people or something insane. And all kinds of pictures of his kits and little clips and videos and all kinds of good stuff. So head over there. And now, for real, without further ado, Keith Stix McJimson. Stix, welcome to the show. What's going on?
Not much, man. Just relaxing. How about yourself, man?
I'm good, man. I'm having a good day. I'm really excited to have you on the podcast for a number of reasons. Obviously, everyone off the top of the podcast gets to hear a nice intro about you, but I'm just going to reiterate to say I think you are a well full of knowledge, dude. You've got tons of great insight about the industry, and I love your story, man. I love the fact that you almost gave up on being a musician to become a police officer, right?
Yeah, yep.
I want to talk about that a little bit today, and I love that you found yourself sharing the stage with not only Ariana Grande, but some of the biggest musicians in the industry today, and you've made it in a lot of senses, right? So
yeah,
and yet you're still striving. So
oh yeah, still got a long way to go, man.
So dude, why don't you maybe give us a self intro and share a little bit about yourself and what you're passionate about?
Well, my name is Stix, and I am from Los Angeles. I was actually born and raised in LA, man. A lot of people relocate to LA for music or acting or whatever. I was actually born there. And so I grew up playing drums in church, man. I started probably like age 2. My mom said that, I used to always somehow just get away from her and like crawl to the drums, get a stick and start banging on the drums. So, like I grew up playing drums in church, and then like probably about like age, 10, when I got to middle school, I learned how to play the trumpet, trombone, tuba, but I was always still playing drums, but I kind of like ventured out because I wanted to do something different, and I was always annoying my mom, like, what are you bringing home now? I was like, oh, it's a tuba. So, it's just playing drums, and then when I got out of high school, man, I decided that I wanted to pursue music, and so I took the Craigslist and I like applied for this one artist. I got the job, man, but then like it wasn't easy, like the gig wasn't paying. But then at one point, like you said, I wanted to give up and just like become an officer. But then like my friends were like, dude, you're too good to be like waste your talent, So they kind of steered me back onto my dream And lo and behold, man, like about a year later, dude, like after that thing happened, like my career just took off, man. So
So walk us through how old you are and maybe some of the things that made you start to give up. So, when did you decide, okay, I'm no longer going to really chase being a drummer? How old are you at that time?
I was probably 23, 24 at that time. Um, Basically, it was just, I mean, it was like no doors were opening, nothing was happening for me, man. Like I was just kind of like, you know what, man, screw this. I'm gonna quit, you know. And so, but like having those friends around you, man, that can keep pushing you and keep saying, hey, man, don't give up. You know, God has like something better for you. Just keep going. All of a sudden, like a year later, boom, everything just started happening, man. It was crazy, you
So
know.
in the time between you deciding, man, I want to give up, and then opportunity striking, what were some of the, if you were to try and, okay, here's the question that I had for you that I think is really important. Say
Hmm.
today the Ariana gig for whatever reason disappeared and went away. What would you do? What would you encourage other people to do who are in a similar position where they don't have a big gig like that?
I mean, don't give up. I know and honestly, it sounds easier. It's easier said than done, but like you can't put yourself on like only on one thing. You know what I mean? Like yes, I have the gig with Ariana, but I'm also doing other stuff too. You
Right.
know what I mean? And so it's like, okay, that door shuts. Okay, well, you gotta keep going, keep moving forward, and keep knocking on other doors. You know,
Yeah.
that way you're not just because then you'll get devastated and you'll get down, and then all of a sudden you'll find your place. You know, you'll find yourself in a dark place, and then all of a sudden you're just like, man, how do I get here? You know,
Yeah.
so it's literally like don't give up.
Okay,
You
that's
know.
great. So the mentality is don't give up. And then in the meantime, what are some action steps that people can take to be proactive? Like, what are the things that you'd suggest? Say I moved to LA, you'd say, Jake, here's what you got to do, man. Here's some of the people you got to meet. Here's what's got to happen,
Well, if you move to LA, first thing you gotta do is get a job. Cause
right?
I'm just keeping it real. Like,
Yeah,
if you gotta take care of home first before you chase the dream. You know what I mean? So, get a job, but then like start. I would like what I did was I would go to people's gigs, man. I would literally show up to their gigs, introduce myself, not be annoying, but just be like, hey, And then when they start seeing me more, they're like, oh, it's that guy again. And then it's like, hey, man, we're friends on Facebook and blah blah and all that kind of stuff, and they'll look me up, and then, you get phone numbers or whatever, and then in hopes that one day they'll pick up the phone up and call you, man. But
yeah,
it's basically, you have to have perseverance for sure in this industry, man. Like nothing comes easy. Like the hard work and the not giving up, like that's the key. Like if you put in the work and you pay your dues, man, you'll get a fat return. And that's pretty much getting hired.
yeah. Absolutely, man.
And it's funny that like you mentioned all this stuff because actually, people that are listening, I'm actually writing a book, and a lot of this stuff
Whoa!
is
Hold
yeah, a lot of
on.
this stuff is in my book, bro.
Hold on, let's
So
talk about this a little bit. This is really exciting. You did, for everybody listening, Stix did give me a little bit of a forewarning that he's going to drop this news on us, but you were just about to glide over that like it's no big deal. Like, by the
but yeah,
way,
by the way, but I mean, in the book, it talks about how I got to where I am, pretty much, and it's like, and I broke it down to where it's like, it's key, it's key things that you can do to help you navigate through accomplishing your dreams, and it's not only for musicians; it's for anybody who wants to be a business owner, entrepreneur, students, anybody. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Because we all face trials when it comes to pursuing our dreams. So I just wanted to inspire folks and like just tell my story and my hardships of how I got to where I am.
can
Because
you
some
give
people
us
think
some?
that
Yeah, keep
some
going, keep
some
going.
some people some folks think that you're lucky, like, oh, he's lucky, so I gotta wait till I'm lucky in order for me to get a gig. No, you gotta put your feet to the ground and you gotta dig, and you gotta work. That's the only way it's gonna happen, man. There's no secret formula. It's just perseverance and hard work. Like that's what like what it takes, man.
Now, are you able to give us the title of the book?
I haven't came up with a title yet. I have like 10 titles that I'm debating on right now.
Are you
So
able to
no,
maybe
like
give us the ones that are in the
no,
top three?
I can't do it right now.
I
Only
wouldn't expect
because
you
it's
to.
not, I just copyright stuff, but I
Yeah,
don't want
absolutely, man.
I just,
You,
but it's basically, it's basically gonna be like 5 or 6 key things to help you take your turn to the big leagues. You know what I mean? Whether you are a drummer or chef, like it don't matter. Basically, it's like if you want to be inspired and motivated to like pursue your dreams, like this book will be like very, 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 very good.
awesome, man. That's great. Okay, so let's talk a little bit. Let's rewind and discuss one of your first paid gigs. Do you remember what that gig was?
First paid gig. Man. Well, I mean, I mean church, but I mean like outside of church. Let's see. Yeah, man. I started playing with this artist named Deuce. I actually played with him for I think about 4 or 5 years, man. And like it was like some gigs were paid and some weren't paid, but definitely my first paid gig was with him.
Wow, very
Yeah,
cool. And what
yeah.
was the style?
It was like R&B, funk, soul, kind of like that D'Angelo vibe. You know what I mean?
Yep,
Is dope, dope, dope artist, man. And yeah, that was like my first paid gig, man. Started
very
playing with
cool.
him like back in 2006 or seven, man.
Very
So
cool.
yeah,
So we've got some questions that are going to begin rolling in, and for everyone listening right now to this podcast, you guys are listening to this at a later time, but we are currently doing a live Periscope session during this podcast. So I didn't preface that, I don't think yet. So for anybody listening, you guys are going to have an awesome opportunity, in the future to catch other podcasts and listen in. And there's a bunch of you that have already been live on it so far. So Brandon Ackerman asked a question. Hopefully, I said his name correctly, but he asked a question that we've already covered a little bit. But it's the advice you'd give to guys that are up and coming, and we've talked about that. I'd say at length already. We've probably
yeah.
spent 5 minutes on that. But is there anything else that you'd add? So obviously, it's remaining hungry and it's remaining chasing after it. But what's some advice that you think young guys or up and coming
Um,
drummers are missing?
I would say a key, another key thing is to remain humble, because that's only gonna help you get work. You know what I mean? Like when you're networking and when you're trying to get to know the people that are like, hey man, like he's playing with so and so, so let me get in that circle. You really gotta like learn how to be humble and patient, and just know that like don't try to rush it, because when you rush it, that makes people real like uneasy. I guess they're like, oh man, like I don't want to hang out with this guy because he's like kind of too forward. But take the time that it takes to build relationships with people that you're trying to seek, networking from, So I would say be patient, be humble, and just know that like your time will come, like
Hmm.
it'll come. But also be tactful in your networking. Don't be obnoxious. Don't be overbearing. I get messages sometimes from people, man, and you'd be surprised at the disrespect that
Oh,
like they act like I have to give them advice, and I'm not saying like to kiss my butt, but I'm just saying like respect goes a long way. It's like, hey man, how are you? And you know me, dude. I'm very like open to everybody. You know what I mean?
absolutely.
Like
Yeah.
it might take me some days to get back to you, but I will write back. But it's like, but just your delivery and your approach needs to be very respectful, or they won't give you the time of day.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just those key things, man. Be humble, patient, you know what I mean, and just know that hey, like your time is gonna come. But most importantly, you have to put in the work, because the work will speak for itself, when it's due time.
Yeah, man, that's fantastic advice. Funny enough, I just did a podcast interview with Rich Redmond last night, and Rich gave the exact same advice, word for word, that he's like, don't be in a rush. There's
Yeah,
no rush, right?
and here's why. I'll even dig deeper on why you shouldn't be in a rush, because so going back to my first gig that I talked about with that guy Induce, that artist. I was not nearly as good of as a drummer as I am today than I was then. So back then, even though I wanted to be on the big stage and touring with big acts, I wasn't ready, bro. I wasn't ready mentally. I wasn't ready with my talent. Like I was an okay drummer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like I say this in my book, I'm giving away like the first chapter of my book. Embrace your starting point. That's the first chapter of my book.
Cool.
Embrace your starting point. That's your starting point. You have to embrace it because that's where you're going to do the most learning. You know what I mean? You're
Yeah.
going to do the most learning, and that's what's going to like mold you into being the drummer or keyboard player or bassist that you need to be for when for I guess the big stage. You know.
Yeah.
So playing in churches, playing in the small bars, playing in the small clubs, playing free gigs, weddings, like all of that made me the drummer that I am today.
Amazing. That's
You know what
great,
I mean?
man. Let's talk.
That's where the school was at. I mean, because like now when you get to the big stage, there's really, I mean, you still learn, you're still learning, but there's really no room for like the beginner learning. You know, like you have to already kind of be like a professional at that point. You
Right.
know,
Right.
so it's like take your time and be patient because you may not be ready. The one of the most things I think one thing that I never want to happen to me was, and it did happen to me, but it's like I would hate for an opportunity to knock on my door and then I'm still in bed, not ready to go. And that happened to me. One time I got a call. I was like, "Hey man, can you do this gig in South Africa?" And I didn't have a passport. And it was a major artist, man, and I couldn't
Oh,
do it. So it's like, you know, be prepared. That's another thing. Be prepared, but also be patient. You know.
I can't
So yeah,
picture anything more overwhelming than not having a passport and getting a great
dude.
call.
When I got that call and I was like, I can't go, and I was,
Uh,
dude, you must believe next week I had a passport, man. The following
yeah.
week,
No
but
kidding, man.
it's just being prepared, but also in order to be prepared, you gotta like be willing to learn and be willing to embrace your starting point. You know what I mean? It's like that's where I got all of my skills and like I refine my skills by playing in these small clubs, churches, weddings, just doing it, I guess the dirty work, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, absolutely, man. That's
Doing the
great.
stuff that and it seems nowadays that nobody really wants to do that anymore. Man, it's like man, play in clubs, like embrace. Like if somebody called me right now to play at Hotel Cafe in LA, which is like a small club, I'm down. I'm never too big to go back to where I started. Like it just I'm you know like I embrace those days, man. Those days were is what made me who I am today.
That's awesome advice because something that I've felt at different times in my life, and I know I'm speaking for a number of drummers, where you start to almost feel like, oh man, I hope I never have to play there again. You know, I hope that
Man,
but it's so great to have an attitude that always remains of, oh, man, I'm excited to just serve and use my instrument and play wherever I can play.
yep.
We're getting some great questions that are rolling in. Another great question that John Plett asked is he said, what are the current struggles? So now you've achieved this. What's life on the road like? What's hard about life on the road?
Um, I mean, I'm gonna have to take a soundbite from Chris. You just had on. Chris said it the best, dude. Like the traveling is the work, right? Like
Yeah.
it's the job, and playing on the stage is like the fun part, man.
I
Like,
love that you did your homework and you listened to
well, I
Chris's
mean, I
interview.
do. I love Chris, man. Chris is my homie, man. Like I'm a huge endorser of big fat snare drum. So like if you want that deep sound snare, go get one today. There you
Ah, I
go.
love it. The
That's,
shameless
there's
plug.
there's a soundbite right there. No,
There it
but
is.
what he said though was right, dude. Like especially when we were in Europe, man. Like those travels were so long. Like that was the most dreadful part about being on tour. It was like going from country to country or city to city. You know what I mean? You have to be on a bus with like 10 other people, 12 other people, and you have to get along with people, man. And if you have a great group of people, then you won't have that many problems. And so there won't be struggles. But you do sometimes you get lonely, you miss your family because you're gone for like 3, 4 months at a time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, Staying focused, not getting too hyped, not thinking like not thinking that you are bigger than the artist or that you're just as important as the artist, but just staying in your lane, man. Like that, I think is a lot of people get fired. Like, if you're gonna get fired on tour, you'll get fired on your day off because you'll do something stupid. You know what I
Wow.
mean? Because you only spend like an hour and 30 minutes on stage. The other, 23 and a half hours or whatever, you're off stage. So, you know, I guess it's more like just, staying in your lane, staying humble. But you do have to have like a good support group and you bond with the people that you're on tour with because it does get lonely out there, man. You get tired a lot. Sometimes you do back to back to back to back shows, you know? And so that can be a real struggle. Like toward the end of the tour, man, like my left hand was killing me, bro. Like my finger, I don't know if you see that, but my finger just started to heal, bro. See that?
Woo! Yep,
Just
I
it
sure
it's
did.
just yeah, and it's just, but you just roll with the punches, man. But yeah,
Yeah,
the
that's great,
struggle
man.
of I mean, and I would say the biggest struggle will probably be missing the ones that you love because you don't get to see them for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, man,
Yeah,
it's funny because you also shared that obviously there's things that happen when you're touring with one of the largest artists in the world right now. Like example, people showing up at your hotel.
yeah,
Why don't you
saying
describe
stuff.
how on lockdown things are and maybe some of the stresses that come along with that? Because it sounds like fun, but it's not, right?
Yeah, well, we didn't have that. We didn't have. I think there's only like three occasions that people found out. They found out that we were at a hotel. But man, I have this thing about me, man, is where I stay focused and I keep my eye on the goal at hand. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to get in trouble. I'm dodging girls, man. I don't want to do any of that stuff, dude. No, seriously, because it's like I'm there to make money.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And do what I want to do and have fun doing it and like make a long career out of it. You know?
yeah,
Because you don't want to be that person that's rocking the boat. You know?
totally. Have you seen some people get laid off because of dumb things?
Uh, yeah. Like early on, yeah. I mean, I won't say who, but yeah, I've seen people you know, not following protocol, so to speak, and all the politics and stuff. Like you just have to know. I mean, and it's not anything that's super hard. It's common sense, but some people don't have common sense. I mean,
Yep.
but it's just more like that's what I'm also saying too. Like embrace those small moments because you learn those things that you need to know when you get to the big stage.
Yeah, that's great. I hope you guys are getting a ton out of this by listening to, we're not talking about drums right now, but we're talking about the business of being a
Yeah,
drummer, right?
yeah.
This is what it truly
Because
looks like.
if you don't handle your business, then you won't be a drummer on anybody's gig.
Preach.
So
Yeah.
it's only like I honestly feel like the drumming part is only 10% of it, and the rest, the 90% of it is business, man. Are you on time? When the tour manager says, "Hey guys, the bus is pulling off at 1 o'clock," you should not be checking out the hotel at 1 o'clock. You should be checking out the hotel at 12:30 so you can be on the bus before it rolls off at 1 o'clock. Like I was never late to a lobby call. I was never late to a bus call or anything, man. I always made sure that like I just pulled my own weight and I never had anybody to ever second guess like where's Six at. Like they always knew that I was going to be where I was going to be at when they told me I had to be there. You know,
Yeah,
I
that's
never I never missed a flight or anything like that. So it's just more like just handling your business, man. Like being on time and all that kind of stuff. I'm always early. I'm never on time. As a drummer, you should always be the first one at rehearsal. Always. You got the most stuff to deal
Yeah,
with.
that's something that we talked when you visited 180 Drums. We did an interview with you. I think we did one there, maybe not,
Yeah.
but you and
Yeah.
I
No.
talked. You and I
Yeah. We did.
definitely talked about the fact that you mentioned this. That you would show up way earlier than everybody, so by the time everybody arrives, your kit's set up, you're ready to go.
Yeah, and I don't have to like be like, oh, excuse me, sorry, can I get? It was more like, oh, he's already set up. Well, let me set up around him, and then I mean, and then it just also for me, it just feels more comfortable because I'm not rushing and I don't have like anxiety before the show. Like you never want to feel that way before you're gonna hit, you
Now,
know?
yeah, and for you guys listening, maybe you're this is the worst. Maybe some people are saying, "Well, man, if I was playing for Ariana Grande, I would show up early too." But that's not what we're talking about.
Yeah.
You would do this on little gigs. You
Dude,
would do this
I'm talking about cover gigs, bro, like top
cover
40
gigs.
gigs. I'm talking about playing in these small bars where like we're like so tight on stage we can barely fit. I was doing that then, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like that's like basically I always say this. Every gig that I have is the most important gig to me. I don't care about status of the artist. I don't care about like, oh, it's Ariana or if it's some local artist who's unknown. I'm gonna treat both gigs the same.
yeah,
Like and that's like the honest to God truth. Even when I play at church, I'm prepared. I show up on time. You know what I mean? I know my music, and I'm gonna give it 150%.
yeah,
So it doesn't matter. Like just because you got a big gig, I would do that too. No, you pay your dues so that like it becomes a habit.
yeah. That's
It
great.
became a habit. It became a habit. Like I didn't just do this because I got the gig. It was like, oh, I was already doing this, which is why I got the gig that I got. You know?
That's amazing. Okay, let's talk drums for a little bit now because I think that gives us a great perspective on everything business, everything being essentially self-employed in some ways. You're your own
Yep.
boss in terms of getting a job, and then once you've got it, this is all protocol. That's awesome. Now, when it comes to drums, let's go through your kit, and then I want to ask you about some of your inspiration. So, what is your current touring setup? What drums are you using? Cymbals, extra
So
goodies.
so my current tour setup is I'm playing a Yamaha Live Custom kit, which is basically like if you're familiar with the old custom, it's basically an old custom on steroids. Very loud, punchy drum set. Actually, our front of house guy, man, actually loved the drums, man. He was like, dude, I barely have to EQ anything, man, because they just sound naturally good. So I used a Yamaha Live Custom, and I had three up, one down. So I played 8, 10, 12, rack tom, 16-inch floor tom. I had two kick drums. I had an 18-inch, and then I had a 22-inch kick drum.
What?
Yeah, like two kick drums, and then three snares, and then a bunch of Sabian cymbals. And I also played Vic First sticks, and I also played Aquarian drum head. So Yamaha, Aquarian, Sabian, Vic First, two fish lug locks, big fat snare drum, sim pad, and a bunch of other stuff.
Amazing. Okay, so we've got a bunch of people. You said that you get asked this all the time, and we've probably got a bunch of people going, "Why do you need so many
Yeah,
drums? It's
yeah,
only an Ariana gig."
yeah.
Which I'm using that
Because,
voice because that's
well,
so silly. But go ahead.
no, but dude, like when I'm telling you, man, these guys come out of the woodwork and it's like you don't need all that for this gig, blah blah. What they don't understand is, man, like so artists are very particular about what they want to hear.
Right.
Ariana is one of those artists, man, which is why she's like an amazing singer. She hears everything. She already said at the very, very, very get go and at the very top of everything, she wants it to sound like the record, but with a live feel. So these producers don't care about drummers when they make these music, man. They will sometimes have like three or four different snare sounds in one song,
Wow.
and I'm supposed to duplicate that
What in one
on the live
track?
gig. Yeah, like there's one of her songs. Problem has like two different snare sounds in it. You know what I mean? So I would go back and forth between my 12-inch snare, which is tuned real high, and then like my 14-inch deep snare, you know? And so it's like in order for her to feel comfortable about what she's hearing, and also like that way that it translates to the audience, like, oh, I can sing along because I know these songs. Like you as a drummer, you have to cover a lot of ground. So basically you gotta have options. I also
Yeah.
play electronics. I was triggering.
Okay,
I
let's
was
let's get into the specifics of this kit because I love your kit live. And I
Yeah,
love that you're sharing. I mean, you even told me that you play all the same drum fills because there's pyro, there's
like
lights,
yeah,
everything's got to sync up. So you're playing
yeah.
the record as to a T as you possibly
As
can.
much as we can. And with the live feel, I mean, the musical director made the arrangements, and there is some ground to be creative and be different every night. But there's times where I have to play this feel the same or similar because the lighting guy will come to me and be like, because like what there was one night, like in her song Bang Bang, and the whole like those 16 note drum fill. I
Don't
didn't
make
do
me
it.
sing it. I will sing it right now. There's a video. There is a video of us already on Instagram singing
Singing,
"Problem"
yeah,
like a
yeah, but
couple of
like her
goofballs.
song Bang Bang
Yeah.
has like a 16 note drum fill, and I didn't do it in one spot of the song, but the lights went, and it just looked stupid. It was like it honestly looked like unnecessary. Like, why are the lights doing this? So the
Oh.
lighting guy comes up to me after the show and say, "Hey man, so on Bang Bang, that drum fill, I'm gonna need that, every night because
Oh.
he's counting on me to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's also that's also a thing too, knowing your show.
Yeah.
Like knowing what the production is doing, knowing what the video is doing, know what the pyro is doing, knowing what the lights are doing. So that way, if something is set in stone, okay, all right, I gotta pay that every night. But then there's also some freedom to do some other stuff as well. But having a variety of drums honestly gives you a lot of ground to cover. And you
Yeah.
can get the
Yeah.
job done. I mean, when she came in, dude, for her first day in rehearsal, she came in, she sat down and she analyzed every song. You know what she said?
Wow.
She goes, for drums, I have no notes. Like,
Amazing. Look at
yeah,
that.
like drums are
Humble brag.
drums. You're
Hashtag
good.
humble brag.
Well, I'm just saying, but like, it's because I did my homework. I didn't just, I didn't just, I didn't just say, hey, you know what? I want a big kit because of having it. I listened down to every song that we were gonna do in the set, and I was like, okay, this is how many snares I need. You know what I mean? I actually went and looked at Brian Moore's kit and said, what is he doing? Because he was on tour with like I think just
Probably either Madonna or Justin
or yeah,
Timberlake.
Relake or whatever. Like, I looked at his stuff saying, what is he doing? Like, why? I was like, why does he need? He had three kick drums on his,
Wow.
you
Okay,
know.
did you list your snare drum sizes? Because Buck August here online was
Oh, yeah.
asking about that.
My main snare, I was playing. I would switch off my main snare, and they're both maple, 14 inch. But one of them was a hybrid maple
Right.
that
Five and a half or 6.5 deep.
6.5 deep. Yeah,
And you're using no special note on that snare drum head because we reviewed that at 180. We haven't put it out yet. It's called the what again? It's three
the
plies, right?
yeah, triple threat snare head, man.
Triple threat, 3 plies, guys.
By
Interesting.
Quang, and it's so you can crank that thing, and the snare, like pretty much the snare head will rip before it'll break.
Right.
And if it rips, it means that you're tuning one side too much. But it's like I went probably 3 months without changing my snare head, man.
Wow.
And I'm talking about from rehearsals, playing on my drums 12 hours a day in rehearsal to like the actual tour. Them and then they being shipped in different weather conditions. Because we started in the winter, man, and then we went through all the way through summer, all the way through fall. So those are my main snares, and then my side snare, which was a 12 inch Musashi oak snare drum by Yamaha.
Beautiful. Love
Thing
those.
thing cracks, man. It was like 12 by 4 or 5, I want to say. And then I had the Yamaha Live custom oak snare drum as my deep snare because it was a punchy drum, no overtones really. So that was good for a deep ballad low snare.
Did you give us the depth on that? Is it a 14 by
That one
7?
that was a 14 by 5 actually.
Oh, 14 by 5.
Yeah, I
Okay,
put the
and the
fat snare drum
12
on.
inch, do you know how deep the 12 inch is?
12 inch was 5 inches deep.
Okay, great.
Yeah, and then my
So,
main snare was like 6.5 deep.
awesome. Great,
Yeah.
man. And for tom heads, you have an 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. Is that right?
No, 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 no. 8, 10, 12, 16.
Oh, okay. 8. 10, 12, 16.
16. Yeah,
What made you
yeah.
skip out on the 14?
Uh, I didn't need it.
Yeah, that's a
I
good
really,
reason.
I didn't need it. But my drum tech he had a fun time, man, bridging the gap between like the 12 and the 16. Did an amazing job at that, man. Every day, like I never felt like the 12 was too high, or he always had that gap bridge between those two drums, man.
Well, it's cool
So
because I think you just proved right there that you're not looking to have a big kit just to have a big kit, right?
yeah,
You
I
didn't need
didn't
a
need
14,
no,
but you needed that 8, 10, 12 for all those big fills, those
yeah, big
bang
fills.
bang
And then
fills.
there's also one song that she has called "One Last Time," and it's like
Right.
literally like it's almost like a Toto song where it's like
Yeah.
toms and a driving four and the bass drum. So I needed those toms for like the melodic reason, because they took all the drums out of the track, you
What is
know.
so brilliant about Ariana's music is you just said the title one last time and right away the chorus stuck in my head. It's so great.
I know, right?
I know
But
I'm refraining from singing because I will
yeah,
begin to sing and it'll
but
be
so
ugly.
here's another thing that I want to touch on as well. You know, we have these big hits for a reason, but also like the electronics and stuff is important because when you're doing pre-production for a show and you're figuring out like what you're gonna play, a lot of times, man, they're gonna take a lot of drums out of the track. So you have to duplicate that because what happens is if they don't take drums out of the track, it's gonna be a lot of like flamming with the drummer, with the live drummer and the track. Let's be honest, no, there's no drummer out there that plays like a computer or Pro Tools, you
Right?
know.
Absolutely.
So there's
Except for Mike Mangini.
yeah, Mike Mangini, dude, I love that guy and I love his drumsticks.
Sick
Heavy.
drummer. I believe he holds a world record for
That's
little
the
side note.
single.
He played along with a click, I think perfectly for like 2.5 minutes.
Yeah,
Like perfectly.
yeah,
Dead
but
on.
but songs are like 4 minutes long, so
There you go. He can't even do it for a full song.
you
Perfect.
know,
There you go.
so it's like we take out the drums out of Pro Tools, so now I have to trigger the kicks and the snare drums that are like in the track. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yep.
So with having those extra drums, like I have two kicks, I would use my smaller 18-inch kick on the hip hop stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If the kick drum sounded real tight and poppy, that was my 18-inch kick. And then if it was a bigger kick drum, I would use my main kick, which is a 22-inch kick.
So when you started with Ariana, because you started with her before she was
Yeah, I started with her from the beginning, man.
and what was that like? So hold on, actually, before I get to what that was like, because I don't want to forget my aim with these questions here, is I was going to ask you. So you were playing with Ariana. Did you have a big kit like that right away, or did
No,
okay?
no.
It adapted. Okay, that's good
Yeah,
to know.
it adapted. See, at that time, I had 10, 12, 16, 18.
10, 12, 16, 18.
Yeah,
What?
it was a different album at that time too. So, you know, it wasn't really as big of a production. It was more like concert type of stuff. But at the same time, I was still learning. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Were
Like,
you using electronics then?
yeah, I was using electronic stand, but I wasn't triggering anything. I was playing on top of the tracks, but then like as the production grew bigger. Like, first of all, let me say this: if you have a dope front of house guy, you can't hide. You cannot hide at all.
Hmm.
Like, you have to play seamless because like our front of house guy that we had, he was so good at what he did. Like, you can hear everything that I play. If my stick clicked together, you would hear that.
Wow.
Like he was that good to where everything was like under a microscope, but there was so much clarity in his mixes. So I had to really be on point with like what I was doing, man, and be
No
very intentional
kidding, man.
about
Yeah.
each song. You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Okay, take us to the early days with Ariana. What was that like? So, how did you first get a call for Ariana, and then what was her
bro.
career like at the time?
Dude, I remember. So that was 2013, bro. 2 years ago. That
That's
was one of
it?
my yeah. 2 years ago. That's when my career started taking off, man. It was like it was January, and 'cause I remember too. Like I played a gig on New Year's, and I remember like when the countdown happened. I was like, man, you know what, dude? this year is my year,
Come
and
on.
so all of January I got no gigs.
Mm. Are
Like
you talking
seriously,
like what do you mean no gigs?
like nothing, bro. Like
Wow.
no, like I mean I played at church, but I mean like outside of church, nobody called.
Just
Like
just just playing for the Lord.
there was nothing, and I was like,
Wow.
okay. And so here's another story, man. I was gonna take the easy way out and do a cruise ship gig for like 6 months.
Oh,
Now
okay.
there's nothing wrong with playing on cruises. I think they're great, but like my friend said, no, man, no, bro. Like you are better than that. You don't need to be on cruise ships, blah blah. So I went against what they said. I auditioned anyway, and I
Oh,
made it. I made it. I auditioned over Skype, dude. They they
no.
they sent me charts, and I had to like play like right then and there, and I made it.
Now, this is a
Then
question someone asked real quick. You just mentioned charts. Is that something that you use in rehearsals with Ariana or
no,
no?
no,
Never.
nah, nah. Like you just basically, I mean, if I wanted to chart them out, I could, but I just pretty much learned everything by memory. I really don't believe in reading charts in a gig, man, because you just it's a disconnect between like me, the artist, and the audience. You know what I mean?
Yes, that's great.
Now, if it's a last minute gig and I just got the call like yesterday and tomorrow and tomorrow's the gig, then obviously I'll chart it out. That ain't my fault. You know what I mean?
Yes,
But
absolutely.
on something like that where you have rehearsal like 14 hours a day, you should know that music by heart, man.
Yes,
Like,
hopefully. Okay,
uh,
so they send you some charts and you audition over Skype.
yeah, and eventually, man, like I talked to my mentor, man. He was like, "Nah, I keep telling you, man, don't do it." So I turned
Uh,
it down. Come February, man, Elliot Yamin calls me. Elliot Yamin was on American Idol, great artist, man. I get a call from him. I do a gig in the studio, man, with him. Then,
and
like
what
I
was the
just
connection there? How did he get your number?
one of my friends recommended me for that gig. Then I went on to record two movies, like drums for two movies. Just like word of mouth stuff, dude.
And this is
Some guy.
what time in the year now?
This is still February.
Okay.
February.
Wow.
So like I recorded for two movies. One of my friends gave my number to like a guy who does stuff for movies, and I got called for that. And then all of a sudden, like it's probably June right now, dude, and like I'm sitting up there in the restaurant with my old roommate, man, and my phone rings, and it's my friend, and he's like, "Hey, man, so I just got this MD gig for Ariana Grande. You want to play?" I didn't even know who she was. I said, "Yeah, dude, yeah, yeah."
Did she
Now,
have anything? Was there any
no, no,
singles
no.
at that time?
So she had a song on the radio that was always playing, but I thought it was Mariah Carey. I think everybody thought it was Mariah Carey.
Oh wow. Do you remember what it was called?
It was called "The Way." It was her first single ever. First
Wow.
single ever.
And was Scooter representing her at the time?
Yep, yep.
Okay. So you knew
And
she was
so
on her way.
yeah, well, I didn't know who she was, and so I'm in the restaurant and I like Google her or whatever, and the song pops up, and I'm like, oh wait, this is her, dude. I got super stoked, man.
Sick.
So rehearsal started, man. We had a the first week was like all band, and the second week she came in with the band, and at that time we only had 2 weeks of rehearsal,
Okay.
and then it was like off to like a 3 week tour. It was very short, man.
Wow. And was that your first time touring?
Yes, this is my first time touring with tour buses. Normally,
Wow.
the tours that I've done was like fly dates. Like you would fly here, there, there. That was my first tour, actually, like where you got on the tour bus and you slept on the bus.
Wow, dude.
You drove from
Okay,
city to city.
as you describe this to us, this is one of those moments where, learning to work with technology, doing podcasts, and then now we've added Periscope into this feature.
Yeah,
I'm gonna grab the charger for my phone because I want everybody on Periscope to be able to keep in touch with what we're doing. But as you talk a little bit more about your experience with Ariana Grande, I'm gonna be just a minute here. I want you to highlight what that felt like, man. Like, what did it feel like getting on a tour bus and being a part of that for the first time? Was it just the greatest thing ever?
oh yeah, dude. Like when I remember when we flew to our first location and we saw the buses, man. Like I literally was like on cloud 1000, man. Like I was just super stoked, super happy, and I was like, wow, this is really happening, man. Like this is really happening. So yeah, I mean, I was definitely elated, man, at the fact that like I'm on an actual tour and I'm getting paid to do this. Like, you know,
Yeah, and how much experience at that time had you had playing with big artists? Was it just that year being your
um,
first real get go?
yeah, man, it was pretty much that year. Like that year was filled with like tons of like artists, man. Like I got the gig with Mark Ballas that year. Like Mark Ballas is actually one of the coaches on Dance with the Stars, but he also sings. Very, very, very like phenomenal singer and guitar player. So I got the gig with him, and I mean it was just more like my I won't say clientele, but the artists I was playing with just started to like grow as far as like who they were to people in the world, you know?
Yeah.
Like I started playing with like Anthony Evans, who was like a gospel artist, man, who was on The Voice. And then I ended up playing with Israel Houghton as
What?
well. You know, yeah, man. It was just like
Yeah.
so. It just stuff started to happen, man. And then like even after the tour was over with, like stuff started to happen, and it was great, man.
Okay, so
You
you
know,
you got off that tour. It's you said it's around July probably by now. You get
yeah.
off the
So the
tour.
tour finished in September. Like we did.
Oh, okay.
We did two. No, we did 3 weeks with her. It was like the end of July when we started the tour,
Got you.
and then we did 3 weeks with her, and then we had like a week in between, and the tour finished in L.A. in September,
Okay.
and that was it. And then we got a call in October to do a TV show with her, which is Jimmy Kimmel.
Come on. That must have been a
So
trip.
yeah, that was an amazing. I almost threw up, bro. After we
No
did the
way.
first after we did the first song, I almost threw up. I was so I was so nervous, bro. I was like, wow, this
Love
this
it.
happened, man. And it was on Jimmy Kimmel's like big stage, outdoor stage, man. So there was a couple hundred people in the audience, but I think maybe it was like 400 people in the audience, man. And it was just like, whoa, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Wow.
man. And then that she kind of went off and started recording another like another album, and then she did promotion, and I really didn't know if I was gonna come back or not, man. And they
Oh,
called me
wow.
back.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was that waiting time like? What were you doing? So you guys do all that work. You said we were in September. What time frame are we in now and how long were you in limbo between?
So basically, the last gig I did with her was like October. So I just continued doing gigs with Anthony Evans, Mark Ballas, like those guys. Like Mark Ballas basically was like, "Yo, whenever you get down tour, like the drum chair is still yours," you know.
Yeah.
So was gigging with him. I was still doing the cover band thing that I was doing. Um, I ended up actually going on a little small tour with Elliot Yamin as well too, man.
Okay.
Like we went on a small tour like up to DC, Virginia. We did a couple of dates with him, and then um, that whole year of 2014, I didn't do anything with her. Like that whole year was like just me gigging with different people, recordings, and doing all kind of stuff, you know. So
Right.
as you can see, it just wasn't like me relying on one gig, but it was more like still staying hungry. It wasn't like, oh man, I've arrived, I can relax now. No, it was like I was still hungry to do what I love to do, you know.
That's awesome, man. That's such great insight, and I mean, it's so exciting for for all of us to get to listen in on that experience and the
Yeah.
struggle, but the real reward, the real
Yeah,
success.
dude, I didn't even have to get a job. I had to get a job at Guitar Center, like August 2014. Guitar Center hired me, man, because I was like, dude, if I don't get a job, um, I'm gonna be broke. So I went and got a job, like something that people are afraid to do because they feel like if they have to get a day job, then their dream is failing. But
Right.
like I said, you gotta take care of home first, you know.
Yeah.
So I got a job at Guitar Center, and then like a month later, I got the call like, hey man, so Ariana's tour is like gonna start or start up in like January for rehearsals, and I was like, oh sorry Guitar Center, even though I've only and let me just say this: while I was there at Guitar Center, man, I had really good sales as a drum salesman. Like I excelled at at what I was doing because like
Right.
I kind of like if I want to do a job, I'm gonna be great at it.
Awesome.
It doesn't
Awesome.
matter if I'm working at GM selling cars or if I'm, at CVS or one of these like convenience stores stocking. I'm going to do a good job. And I think like that ethic really like it's just who I am. So it really crosses over into like me being a businessman and how I carry myself on stage and off stage.
Yeah, man, that's
So
powerful. It's so true.
yeah,
And the thing that I think a lot of guys can learn from, and a big learning lesson for me was if I want to be excellent at, say, playing drums with an artist, you practice, you use the literally using scripture, right? It's like you're faithful in the little stuff, right? You're
yeah, and
faithful in the
being a good
small stuff.
steward.
Yeah, being a good steward. So, I mean, I think that it's so true that if you want to learn to be excellent at any job, you just start being excellent with what you've got now.
Exactly.
And then when the good opportunity comes, there's no learning curve with like, oh yeah, and how do I be excellent again? It's
No,
rehearsed,
no,
right?
man, it's a habit, and you want. So I also why I said and like I'm writing my book. It's like embrace your starting point because whether you if you make the best like if you make the best of your starting point, man, like you will acquire so much knowledge because you're actually in it
Yeah.
and your eyes are open versus being standoffish like, oh man, I got to go to work today and I don't want to do this. And don't get me wrong, like I've had my days, man,
Yep.
where like I didn't want to go to work, man, just because I was like, man, I'm tired of this, but I had to do it,
Yeah.
And I also want to talk about like how I took a leap of faith, man. I was working security. So before 2013 happened, right? And I was playing with that guy in Dudes. We got offered a tour, to tour like in the Caribbean, and so my job wouldn't give me a time off. And my boss was like, "Well, either it's going to be drums or you're going to work here." I quit,
Wow, great.
and so it was like so. I kind of wanted to. I should have backtracked, but basically, sometimes when like for me things weren't happening and I was wondering why I wasn't getting gigs. It wasn't until I took that leap and quit that all these doors, like 2013 was a huge year for me, man. Like I started playing with so many different artists, man. It was crazy. But it wasn't until I took the leap of faith, man. Like
Yeah.
I quit. I said, all right, well, you know what? I quit. I went on this like 2 week tour. I came back from a 2 week tour. I played these gigs and I did this little, like New Year's Eve gig. And then all of a sudden January shows up and I have no gigs.
Oh,
So it was like things were great and then it was like boom, wow, reality set in. I have no gigs, but I didn't stop having faith. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
So
Next
in that
month,
time, while you don't have any gigs, you were going out to your friends' gigs, you were trying to
yeah,
network and
support, yeah.
socialize. Yeah.
I was putting together videos on YouTube, and I was doing a lot of like I had a studio, and I was doing a bunch of like covers and recording and stuff. I was just doing whatever I could to just remain current.
Dude, what I love about you and the reason I know your book's going to be great is because I at one point intended to steer us towards talking about drums and we got back onto business. But
Well,
that's
because
the
that's
reality, right?
Australia, man. It's like everybody thinks it's about your chops, and some guys be like, man, so and so is not that good of a drummer. But man, it's not really
Right.
about. I mean, yes, you have to be good at your instrument and you have to be productive at it. But people will call you because they can rely on you. Number one,
Yeah.
they know that if you like your word is your bond. If you say you're gonna learn something or you're gonna show up on time, they know okay, I can count on you. And it's not really the talent. We all got talent. We all can play drums. There's a lot of guys that can do my gig. But what sets me apart is just me and how I handle my business. And so they're like, okay, we know Stix, man. He's always on point, always on time. Ain't never got to worry about him. That leaves them comfortable to keep me hired. Of
Right.
course, of course, the playing drums on stage is going to come. We all can play drums, but it's the off the stage stuff, the business stuff, is what keeps your phone ringing, man.
Yeah. That's
You
great.
know?
Yeah, man, that's awesome. Okay, let's take a quick shift and let's talk about gear again just for a minute because we didn't get to talking about your cymbals, and that's something that I know we'll end up getting some questions about. So for your drums, we've got the 8, 10, 12, 16. You've got 3 snares. I love all that stuff you got having 2 kick drums, so it's a big
Yeah.
kit. And your cymbals match match the size of the drums, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, I don't play like I didn't play. I don't think I didn't play any cymbal smaller than an 18 inch or a 17 inch. Only
Wow.
because like it's true, man. Like in the arena, those smaller cymbals don't carry, man. Because like I didn't want to put. I don't want to. I didn't want because like so you have all these screaming kids. You know that frequency of like around 1 to 3K is just in the arena. So I wanted the sound engineer, like you want the sound engineer not to have to push your overhead so much because then when he does that, he gets bleed from
Distorted,
the
yeah.
yeah from the audience. So you want to have cymbals that project. So if you do play Sabian, they're just I'm sorry, but they're just the best, man.
I love
Like
it.
I love my sound. Like they give me the sound that I want, man. Like you know, their splashes to me are always tight and crisp, man. And then there's nothing like the ozone symbol, man. You can't beat the ozone symbol, dude. That symbol was just amazing. So I had that symbol. My ride symbol was a 22-inch groove ride, man. HHX, man. Very dark but very pingy
Cool.
on the bell. And then I had
You say a 22-inch groove
yeah,
ride? Is that
yeah.
new?
No, it was just custom made for me.
Ah,
Yeah,
gotcha.
you can
Gotcha.
order it, but it's gonna take a while to get there.
Yeah.
And then I made and then I had like a 19-inch Evolution. And then my favorite symbol to play was my 19-inch Legacy Crash, man, HHX. Like that was my main symbol. Like I would hit that symbol more than any symbol because it was very like it projected, but it came down like immediately, man.
Cool.
And then I had a 20-inch Raw Bell Crash AA, very brassy, like heavy metal symbol. So on all the ballads, that was my go-to symbol right there, man.
Hmm.
And then I had another like stage crash or something like that. But I had about 12 to 13 cymbals, man. And then
Wow.
my hi hats were groove hats, 14-inch hi
Okay.
hats.
Very
Yeah,
cool, man. And for splashes, what are you using?
it was like it was 8, 10, 12. So and they all were HHX, man, just regular like splash cymbals.
Very cool. And you also use this is something that you said is funny because it was requested. Is you also use chimes, right?
Yeah, chimes. Yeah, I forgot about that. Can you read the chimes?
Yeah.
Chimes add a lot of flavor, man. Like seriously, dude, it was almost like having a percussionist without having a percussionist, man. You
Cool.
know,
And you said
so
did she request those?
no, the musical director did, but she referred to them as twinkles one time in rehearsal.
Twinkles.
Oh my god, I love those twinkles because like when we do the ballads, man, I'm just like chimes lead into like a lot of chords and like it just sounds very lush and very musical, so to
Very
speak. You
cool.
know what I mean? I,
Yeah.
I also had mallets, man. I was doing a lot of cymbal swells. It was very like for this gig for sure. Like you have to be very versatile. You know, we did jazz, like we did like jazz style stuff, man. There was one point in the tour where we did like a 1920s New York vibe, and so I was able to play like some swing, man. So it was a really good mixture of stuff, man. So I had a really good time.
Now, for everyone listening, you guys got to go check out Stix on socials because you post every now and then. You'll post a video of yourself swinging,
Yeah,
playing different stuff. So people can follow you by going to, and correct me if I'm wrong, but at Stix the drummer, and it sticks with an X. So STIX the drummer, and
yeah,
that's
and that
consistent across all platforms, right?
yeah everything. It's like Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
Very cool,
Yeah.
man. Now, give us some insights on. I mean, yeah, we're covering so many things. Is there anything you feel like people don't have a perspective on that you do that's really important when it comes to touring? Or, I mean, we've talked about preparation, we've talked about all that stuff. What's something that people might not think is a skill you need?
Uh,
Like
like I
running
said,
tracks, Ableton. Are you super, fluent with Ableton?
yeah, but I didn't on that tour. I didn't have to do anything with that because we had a Pro Tools guy, a guy who ran all tracks and everything like that. But when I play with Mark Ballas, I run Pro Tools myself for
Right.
him. So I'm very fluent in Logic and Pro Tools. Haven't really gotten to Ableton, but I probably can, but as of right now, I can do playback while I play drums, man.
For electronics, you did tell me that the producer, is it the producer that sent you, or the music director that gave you all the samples?
No, the Pro Tools guy sent it to me.
Pro Tools guy sent it to you, and then
Yeah,
you're running all that stuff through what?
through my Yamaha DTX Multi 12 pad. It's a sampling pad that has 12 pads, and I like Yamaha's version of it. I mean, because like other companies have their version of it, but I like Yamaha because it was so easy for me. Like if they needed me to add a sample, it was so easy for me to do it. I did it within like less than 2 minutes, man, on the spot. Like put me
Wow.
on the spot, like, hey man, we need you to trigger this sound. And
Yeah.
so I have my computer here, USB stick, loaded on there, put it in the Yamaha thing, dropped it on in there. It was so easy, man. And then it only takes 16 bits, so like you have high res samples, and I can trigger up to 6 themes.
That's great.
So yeah,
Now, we
it
just
was
had a
really
question
great.
online that's really great regarding this too. Is that are you using your own computer stuff, or is it MD's equipment? Is it the Ariana's equipment that you're using? How does that
It's,
work?
it's my stuff, man. I don't have, but then again, I don't have computers. Like that stuff is my
Right.
like the kit, everything that you saw was my stuff. Is like my stuff.
Yes. Okay, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
but on the
So,
Mark Dallas gig, I'm using my computer.
right, you're using your computer. Okay,
Yeah,
man, that's
so
awesome.
if they're asking the question, yes, you have to have your own gear, and
Yes.
I really suggest that like you should have your own gear. And there are some tours like if I'm hopping on a tour to do like smaller artists, most of the time the gear's going to be rented because you're flying everywhere,
Yeah.
you know. But with Ariana, since we had like we had like 20 wheelers, like they would just load my cases onto the truck and go
Wow.
from city to city. Yeah, but yeah, you should have your own gear. Like that's another thing too, man. If you're really trying to seek to get gigs, like it's almost like me having not having that passport, man. Like them saying, "Hey, man, can you come do this gig in South America?" And I'm like, "Oh, I can't go." So you don't want to ever be like, "Oh, I don't have a kid,"
Yeah. Yeah.
you lose the
Absolutely.
gig. Yeah.
Man, that's great, great, great info. Now, how did you learn how to use tracks and all that stuff? Was it just trial by error and trial by fire?
Um, because like I've always been since high school, man. Like my band teacher gave me like my first ever MacBook. It was a G4, I think, or G14 or whatever it's called,
He gave it
G4.
to you.
Yeah, he gave it to me, man. Like that was like a gift, man. Like a graduation gift that he gave to me. And at
Wow.
that time, it was only Reason, and so I was
Okay.
running Reason. So I've always been computer savvy with with like recording software. So it wasn't really that hard, but like I had to get these stems from like so with Mark Ballas, I would meet up with the guy who engineered his sessions, and I would grab these vocal and percussion stuff, and then I had to go through them and line them up on a graph and make sure that like when we hit play when I hit spacebar, everything lined up and everything sounded great.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, sometimes I had to go in and mix some stuff too. Like some of the vocals, I had to like mix it to make sure that everything sounded and sounded great. You know,
Yeah. That's great, man. That's awesome. Okay.
yeah.
Tell us what has been one of your favorite moments on stage or your favorite venues to play. If you have a few, you can share them. And then after
Um,
that, share us the most horrifying moments on stage.
dude, favorite stage was Japan, man. We played in front of like
Oh,
almost
I
fifty
saw
thousand
this
people.
picture. Guys, I
Yeah,
will include that in the show notes because it is an insane picture. How many people?
I think it was almost 50,000 people, man.
What?
Yeah, that was literally like 5 shows in one. Like, cause we played stadiums that are like 15,000 to 20,000 people, and then all of a sudden it's like you add 3 times that to an audience.
What does that feel like? Give us a taste, man. If you were to try and replicate that with words, what's it
So
like?
basically, I was scared shitless. I don't know if I can say that,
You
but
just did.
because number one, because we when we did the festival in Japan, there's no sound check, man. Like
What?
our techs set up our stuff on side of the stage, and then once that act got finished, they rolled our stuff out, man. And so I'm in the dressing room warming up, and we're waiting by stage. We do a huddle, and they're like, "All right, guys, go out, let's go." And so, dude, I literally like walked up the stairs, man. I plugged in my in-ear, and I looked, and I was just like, "Oh my god! Oh yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. I had to play, but it was like I almost got like stage shock. Like that was the most people I've ever played in front of by
Wow.
like today. Crazy, man.
Now, when you walked up on stage, like, were your in-ears, did they sound consistent like they sound every night? Are you
Yeah,
using a lot
because
of room mics in your mix? Can you
because
describe your mix for us?
well, because so our sound engineers, um, they save our mixes, so it's always
Yep.
the same every night. Um,
But,
in my
like,
ears,
do you
yeah,
have any room in your ears?
no. Well, yeah, I have. I'll put they put audience mics in my ears, but only a little bit though.
Okay. Because
Yeah,
that would drastically change like, that big a space, right?
yeah. No, it's only a dab, man. Like only a little bit because already got overhead.
Right.
But I just want a little bit because I like to hear my snare sound really huge. So when I hear my snare come back, like in the room mics, that's heaven to me. But my mix, man, is basically like of course I have all my drums in my ear, um, but they are panned accordingly to where they are in front of me. So
Got
my
you.
floor tom is panned to the right, the 12-inch pan a little to the right, and then the 10 is centered, and then the 8 to the left. And then also all my cymbals and overheads are panned the same as well. Hi hat a little to the left. All my snares and kick drums though were centered, no matter where they were.
Wow, okay. Now,
Yeah.
what regarding the rest of your mix, what's it like? Are you including guitar? What have you cut out of your mix?
Pretty much nothing, man. I
Wow.
the one thing I really cut out a lot was the bass because he was right behind me, so I can hear him. I didn't really need him in my ears because he was literally right behind me with his amp, so
Okay.
I can hear him behind me. But I would pan the guitar left, keyboards right.
What's the loudest instrument in your ears? Keys?
I am no the
Okay.
click, the click,
Okay, the click,
the
yes.
click.
And
Yeah,
then for other
click in
musicians on stage,
the,
is it the keys?
the click in the slate is the loudest in my ears, pretty much.
Okay.
So yeah, that is like the loudest, and then everything else is just kind of like
By
balance.
slate, do you mean tracks? Just to clarify.
Slate means count offs.
Oh, okay.
So you would hear 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4,
Right.
and that way you know like it's time to come in. You know?
That's pretty important, I'd say.
Yeah, yeah. So
So
and
that,
then
and then who's the music director? The keyboard player?
yeah, keyboard player. Yeah. So
And
I would
how
have
loud is
this.
he?
He's not that loud. I mean, he because he don't really do that much talking, so he's not that loud on my ears. But I can hear him enough if he said something. But then
How often
like
does he say something throughout the gig to you guys?
not much. Only to be like, oh, that sounds great. Or like if someone plays something real nice, he would be like, all right, I hear you. You know what I mean? Like he would do something like that. But other
Cool.
than that, all the talking was done in rehearsal. You know?
Right. Okay. And then his keys aren't too loud in your mix. They're
No,
definitely,
man,
and
they're low.
guitars, same thing.
Same thing, just enough to where I can hear them. And
Wow.
then tracks were also, and I don't know how to explain this, but like the sound console that we were using, which was it was a Digico. I think like I can't think of the model, but they had sound imaging in the actual board. So basically, like I'm gonna show you so you can see me, but like basically like her lead vocal would be here, and then like her lead vocal would be here, and then like the background vocals here, and then like the percussion tracks here. So basically everything was stacked like in its place, but it was stereo imaging, man. It's something that I've never heard of till like I got on this tour, and
And
so
what's
it wasn't it
how,
wasn't it wasn't overloading in my ears, you know.
right? How loud's her
Everything
vocal in the mix?
her vocal was pretty low,
Okay, pretty low. And then in terms of
pretty low.
background singers,
The background tracks were low. We didn't have singers, but we had tracks. They were low as well. That stuff was low because I only needed it to just to know like as a reference. And I mean, I heard her enough, but I also just because her mic would pick up a lot of like of the crowd stuff.
right,
So
right,
I
right.
had her enough to where I can hear her and okay, we're here in this song, but everything else was like balanced, man. I mean, and we had a really good monitor guy, man. Justin Hoffman did a great job, dude. Like makes it sound great, man. And my drums sounded so beefy, man. Like
Hmm.
I requested that they put my snare drums in a room. So they would put it like in a studio room, and so that way because I like my snare drums wet. When I hit my snare drums, I like to hear pow, like just like an echo, you
Yeah.
know. And my snare drums have to crack over everything in my mix, man.
Cool.
Like, yeah.
So
So
is that something that are you trying to make sure that your snare drum is so hot, just as a reference for your time?
not not hot, just more like can be heard because that's honestly sometimes the thing that gets buried a lot is the snare drum.
Right, right.
So by putting them in the room, both top and bottom mics, putting them in the room and EQing that room to where you can because basically all I want to hear was the tail end of the reverb in my
Right,
ears, and that's it.
right.
You know?
That's great, man. Okay, dude, I'm gonna ask you a couple rapid fire questions because it's hard to believe, but it's already been an hour and almost 10 minutes.
Oh, we keep going, bro. Like,
Okay, good, man. Well, let me ask you a few rapid fire ones so that I get them out of the way, and then we'll keep chatting for a little bit. But
yeah,
I don't want to keep you too long because I know that you're hustling, man. This is awesome. Thank you so much
yeah.
for spending the time to do
I
this.
gotta, I gotta get on my book, man. I'm almost done. So,
Oh, I can't wait. I think you've been
yeah,
giving us some hints along the way of other chapters, but we won't discuss that just
yeah.
yet.
No, no, no. It's just basically like it's gonna be a great read, and like I said, it's not just for drummers or musicians. It's for everybody who is stuck and who think that they can't, accomplish their goals. Because I've been there before, so I kind of want to get them out of that rut and be like, you know what, you can do it. It's gonna
Yeah,
take some
man.
time, some hard work, but you can do it.
Yeah, dude. Okay, that's great. Who are some people that you view as successful? And they don't have to be musicians. They don't have to have lots of money. They have to be people like, I gave this example yesterday. So for everyone that listened to the Rich Redmond podcast and is now listening to this one, they'll hear me say this twice. But, my mother is someone who I view as extremely
Yeah.
successful because she follows the things that she's most passionate about. She does them every day of
Yeah.
her life,
So I totally agree. Anybody who is accomplishing their dreams and
Yeah.
following their dreams, to me, it's successful because success is defined differently by everybody. Like I'll give a quick example. Not every drummer wants to tour with a big artist.
That's a
Some
great example. Yeah.
some drummers are content with playing at bars and clubs, and they love doing that. And to me, that's success. That's what they
Yeah.
like to do. They are that's their dreams. They're living it. They're successful.
Yeah.
Like so. Success is pretty much defined by that person. That you know what I mean.
Yep.
That and so just so you know, being on the couch all day watching TV is not success. Even
Yeah.
though even though some people say, "Oh, I love to do that." That's not that's being lazy. But like I said, some people like to compare themselves, man, and everybody's dreams and goals are different. Some people, like I said, they want to go to the big stage, and some just want to say, you know what, I'm content with playing in church. That's it.
Yeah, yeah. Right, man.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay, and who are some of those people to you? Do you have some people personally that come to mind when you think of success?
yeah, like my friend Dan, who's a bass player, man. The father of three kids, man,
Wow.
and he plays in LA. He's a local musician. He also does like fly dates, but he he's like one of my mentors, man. And he pays the bills, man, by playing the bass, taking care of his family, bro. Three kids, two twin boys, one girl, and a wife, man.
It's
You know,
amazing. Amazing.
and he doesn't like to travel a lot because obviously he has a wife and kids and a family and stuff. And so the fact that he's able to stay on the local scene in LA and record records and do these, I mean, he can do stand up bass. He'll wear you out on an R&B gig, and then all of a sudden throw up on the upright on a jazz gig, man, and just go in,
Cool. Very cool.
But he's successful because that he's living his dreams, man. He got a family, a beautiful wife, and he's making money playing the bass, man.
That's
Serving
awesome.
God, like that. That's his success, man.
That's
So
great, man.
that's kind of like, I mean, that's been my perspective because a lot of guys, especially like in our industry, man, they want to compare like who's better. But man, I'm like, dude, we all have our own lane. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't worry about what I'm doing. Look forward and start moving forward. You know what I mean? So
Dude, I
that's kind
love
of
that's something that you said repeatedly when you were at 180 when you were visiting us, taping lessons with us. And I can't remember if this was off camera, but I think it's on camera as well. You continued to use the phrase "stay in your lane."
yeah.
Just to
There's no
say like
traffic if you stay in your own lane.
no traffic when you stay in the lane of Keith Stix McJimson, baby.
There you go. Like
Yeah,
it just, and that honestly speaks on a lot of like hating,
yeah.
all that crap too. Like if people spent the time that they did hating on other musicians and actually putting it into their craft, they would succeed.
Dude, that's something that, we talked about a lot about Luke Holland as well because we both think Luke is just a phenomenal drummer.
Amazing drummer, man, and he's actually my homie now, dude. Thanks to you guys.
Yeah, that's awesome,
he'll
man.
he'll text me like out of the blue, man, be like, "What's up, bro?" But because he's seen me at 180, man, like he hit me up on Twitter. We exchanged phone numbers, man. He's been a really good homie, dude. He's a great guy.
I love it, man. I love hearing, the 180 family, like just it growing and connecting. And I want
Yeah.
that to continue to increase. Have you got to connect with Stanley yet? Stanley Randolph?
No, but I've met him.
Okay.
Me and Stanley have a mutual friend, and so
Nice. Okay.
whenever he's in LA, and he also plays for my friend. So I go see her play. I talk to him. He's an amazing dude, man.
He is such a good dude too, man. And
Yeah.
something that he's faced less than what Luke faces often is just being criticized because once you put yourself out there on YouTube, people love YouTube is like the ultimate critique platform for no reason. So
Or just social media, period, man.
yeah.
I get it too. Like if you go to my Facebook page and you read some of the comments, man, you'll be like, "What?"
It's funny
Like
because
this,
you mentioned that some people don't think you read that, so they were like
yeah.
laying into
And I,
you.
and I respond, but I'm always nice about it. But there's this one guy. So Yamaha posted my photo on their social media, and he was just hating at like my setup. He was like, "Oh man, he got all that for no reason." Because like I had a second tier on my rack, but I just had one cymbal standing on it. But little did he was saying that like, "Oh, that second rack for no reason." But little did he know the second rack was helping keep my rack from wobbling left to right
Yes.
when I play drums. But I go to his page, and I don't want to be mean, but he put it this way: he plays the drums in his bedroom, and that's it.
I think the
And I'll leave it
problem
at that.
the
Yeah,
problem with criticizing is that as soon as like this guy criticizing you online, you open yourself up to receiving criticism. That's what you have
yeah,
to be aware of. Is if you're a good dude and you're really kind to people, even if you're not that great at the drums, suddenly there's this sense of like people respect you and they value you because you're a positive person. But
yeah,
as soon as you're negative, you invite that into your world.
yeah.
You
And
welcome
and
it.
then and then also too, like even when you're not negative, people will come at you, man. Just to try
It's
to
true. Yeah.
try to get you down to their level because they're jealous. But I don't let that bother me, man. Like I'm always nice about it, man. But sometimes I will put somebody in check because it's just like, dude, you're doing too much, man. Kind of like calm down, like
Yeah,
relax,
it's
man.
true. It's true. We've
You
even
know,
had some people who have started taking, not even started taking lessons, just criticize what we've done. And it's funny because sometimes the people that seem really frustrated, all they actually want is to be heard.
yeah,
And
yeah,
sometimes I think some of the best members of the family at 180 have ended up being people that originally were criticizing us, and then they ended up, I reached out to them. They were surprised that we reached out, just like with you. They're surprised you
yeah,
reach out, and then suddenly they're like, "Oh man, you're not that bad. I might check out what you're doing." And then it turns into, "Man, I love what you guys are doing. Thank you so much." And
yeah,
it's a total shift. So it's
yeah,
unfortunate that it has to begin that way, but there's value in that, right? There's something special about that too.
yeah.
So here's another question I've got for you right now. Is if you could send everybody in the world, if you could send them a postcard and you just got a sentence or a phrase or a couple words that they're gonna receive and see, what would be your message?
Oh, dude, this is my quote. I made it up too.
Ah, love it.
Um, dude, your climb doesn't mean anything if you don't leave a ladder behind. That's my quote.
Woo!
You heard it right here
Say it
first. I mean,
again.
it's
Say it
going to,
again.
your climb doesn't mean anything if you don't leave a ladder behind.
Dude, that is profound. Give us the how did you come up with that?
Dude, because we're just, I'm all about, so basically, like, yeah, I do what I do because I want to make a living doing it, but I also do what I do because I want to inspire other people that you too can do what I'm doing. I'm not special. I'm not more talented than you. Like it's basically like when people reach out to me, man. Like I said, I respond. I give them the time of the day. I vouch for myself before I even got close to where I am that I wasn't going to be that guy that when people message me, I don't respond back to them. You go to my Facebook page right now. Facebook has this thing where they have like response times and response percentages. You will see on my page, he responds 100% of the time, and he gets back to you within 30 minutes. Like it says that on my page.
Love it.
You know what I mean? So I've 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 even opened up myself to Q&As on Facebook where I was on tour in my hotel room just like chatting with people, man, back and forth about them asking me questions. So I always love to give back, man.
Yeah, that's
Like
awesome, man.
yes, I do this to make a living, but I do this so I can give back because like the scripture says, man, the world of the generous only gets bigger.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that.
You know?
So your postcard, man, that message is amazing because it applies to everything in life. It's like during your climb, leave a ladder behind. And I think what's funny is there's all kinds of visuals to me right away with that Stix McJimson signature. Is that if you're at the top of, I just picture getting on a roof, and if your entire desire once you get to the top of the roof is to hurry up and throw the ladder over the edge so no one else can climb up with you,
You'd
is
be
that
lonely, bro.
one, you're isolated, you're
Yeah.
alone, and then two, there's a good chance you turning around to try and ditch that ladder, you're probably gonna fall with it. You know,
Yeah.
there's like some type of, it brings that to mind for me.
Yeah, no, I mean, sometimes you have to go back down and help people up. Like it's
Awesome.
just you can that whole analogy you can look at it so many ways, but we're here to help people, and that's what I always try to do. And like all I gotta say is, if you're gonna message me on social media, please just be respectful,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
and you will hear from me. But I don't. The people like that respond to me that have that attitude of like entitlement, like you have to respond to me. It's like, nah, man. I don't really want to deal with that.
Absolutely. That's mind blowing that even happens. It's kind of
Yeah.
ridiculous. Okay, here's a rapid fire question for you. What app do you use the most?
I would say now GarageBand.
Cool. I didn't even really know that's an app. I think I've seen it, but what do you use it for?
Dude, I mean, if I'm using the bathroom, bro, I'll just whip it out, and I make beats and like all these different things on my phone, man. And then you can
Cool.
actually export that. That was TMI, sorry, but
That's great. No, it's funny.
but like
I was like, wait, what are you
you can
recording when you go to the bathroom? This guy.
you can actually export those WAV files to your computer and finish the product. So
Cool.
you can literally make beats and like play Keybase and all this stuff on GarageBand on your cell phone, man.
Very cool, man. That's awesome. So, the app is essentially you want to capture inspiration when it happens.
Yeah,
Love it.
you know,
That's
I
great,
give
man.
I give credit to the bass player that I was on tour with, Tim Bailey, because he's all about the mobile studio, man. And
Love it.
he'd be on his cell phone making beats, and all of a sudden, when I hear like somewhat of a finished product, and I'm like, "You did that on your phone?" Like, yeah. I was like, "Wow, okay."
Amazing.
So, yeah, GarageBand, man.
Garage band, baby. Okay, cool. Do you have a favorite book? What's your favorite book?
Oh, dude, man, I haven't really read a book in a while, but I would say The Five Love Languages.
Okay, cool, man.
Um, great book to learn. I mean, because and like yes, it's a romantic book for like couples who are dating, but you also can take that and apply it to like your family and your friends and
Yeah.
your kids. Like if you got kids, because everyone has a different love language, and you want to make sure that the people in your life feel love, and so what better way to know how to communicate love to them, in the way that they receive it.
Yeah, that's great, man.
So
That's deep. I like it.
yeah, that's a really good book, man.
Very cool. Okay, what's one thing you think people would find surprising about you? I mean, personally for
That
me
I
getting to
love,
go, yeah, go
that
ahead.
that I love, 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 love. If you ever want to make me happy, buy me some Boston baked beans.
Ooh, Boston baked beans.
Yeah, that's my favorite. So yeah,
I've never even heard of these. Tell me about them.
dude. Oh yeah, wait, because you don't live in America, huh? That's
That's
why.
right.
But Boston baked beans, man, you can find them at any store out here in America, man. They're like these they're like sweet and bitter tasting, but like they blend very, very, very well, man.
Hmm.
Look them up when you get a
I
chance. And
will,
they, and they
man.
and they put a peanut in the middle of it, and like all the flavors on the outside. So it's really good.
Dig
Boston baked
that.
beans.
Dig that,
Make that
man.
You gotta make that a bucket list, bro, for
Okay,
you.
done deal. Next time you're in, put it on the rider.
Or actually, I'll just bring you some, man. Next time I come up to 180,
Oh,
I'll
look at this
just
guy.
bring you some, man.
Yeah, we need to
So
have you back in very soon, man, for sure.
yeah.
Um, do you have other things, other hobbies that you like to do aside from playing the drums?
Well, drums is not a hobby.
Come on, preach.
It's
Yeah.
no, it's not a hobby, but I love to play video games on my cell phone. I love watching documentaries. I love doing research, man. I'm a
Huh.
brainiac. Yeah,
What kind of stuff do you like researching?
I mean, like just politics and stuff in general, man. Like if I see stuff online and someone saying like this is a story, I don't believe it. I go research and then I make my mind up. You
Cool.
know,
Very cool.
I think if the world would be a better place if we all did that, man, and not just believe what we are fed.
Yeah, I
'Cause
think that's great.
my mom told me before you believe something, verify it.
Hmm.
So
Very cool.
that's always been my mindset. But I love watching documentaries. I love being informed about what's going on around me, and just because then when you're informed, you can like when you're informed, you can take action, and you can start to like reach out to people and say, hey man, because like one of the things that I'm really starting to get passionate about, bro, is about mental health issues with people.
Wow. Okay.
So I'm definitely gonna start reaching out, and even maybe like I want to probably like do a proceed with my book, man. Like that will go to a charity that helps mental health.
Oh, that's
So,
great.
so yeah, if you don't know, you can't take action. So I like to be informed and just do research, man.
Great. 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 Okay. Um, who's someone that you'd love to have a conversation with, man? Like, if you could meet anybody, anyone, who
Quincy
would it be?
Jones,
Who?
Quincy Jones.
Quincy Jones. Cool.
Yeah,
Can't argue with that.
I mean, he, Quincy Jones or David Foster, but yeah, those two guys are legends in the music industry, and not just because they're talented, but they also have like their business like models are is what I want to know,
Hmm.
because that's how they've climbed up, and I would say I would do it this way: Quincy Jones, Dr. Dre, or David Foster.
Very cool.
All three
Very
very
cool.
successful businessmen in the industry.
Who are some people you've met so far that have kind of left you starstruck?
Well, Star Trek, I don't get starstruck, bro, and I know that's
Come on, there's got to be
no. I'm
someone,
serious.
somebody.
I'm serious, man. Like I've met Verdine from Earth, Wind and Fire, like,
Okay.
and I'm a huge fan of Earth, Wind and Fire, dude. Like if like that's the gig that I really, 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 really want. I met him and I didn't get starstruck. I don't really get starstruck
What was
because,
your conversation like when you met him?
dude, it was very quick, but it was just like, hey man, how you doing? I'm Keith. Nice to meet you, man. Like, how's it going? How's the family? Like, I pretty much nothing about music, man. It was just more like, how's life going, man?
Cool. Where did you meet him?
Dude, it was at this Battle of the Bands competition
Okay.
that my old high school was doing, and I was just tagging along, and he happened to be one of the judges.
Wow. And do you
Yeah.
intentionally stay away from things like would you stray from asking for a photo of people you admire?
Yeah,
Yeah. Interesting. Why
yeah.
so?
I I respect people for who they are and what they've done, but I also just treat them like people,
That's great.
you
That's
know, and
great.
which is why I feel like a lot of times with artists and stuff, like they really feel comfortable around me, is because I don't, I respect them. I respect everybody the same,
Yeah.
but it's just more like I'm just cool with you, man. Like I did a gig with Will Smith a long time ago, man. Like right out of high school. I forgot to mention that. And when I met him, him and I were just talking like two regular people on the
You're gonna
corner
have
of the
to say
street
that again. With who?
with Will Smith.
With Will Smith.
Yeah,
How have I never heard about this?
back in '05, man.
Get out of
You
here,
know,
dude. And what was that like?
yeah, I did Jay Leno with him, man, and that was amazing. That was
Wow.
amazing.
In '05, you were how old at the time?
Dude, I had just turned 18.
Wow, dude. That's gnarly,
Yeah,
man. Okay. 18, and were you incredibly nervous or what?
yeah, I was nervous, but Will Smith made it like he made the nerves really calm down because he approached me and was like, "Hey man, can I get on the drums real quick?" You know, and then we just start talking, and he's
No
cool,
way.
man. Cool peoples, man.
Dude, that's amazing. I love that. Okay, I'm going to open the floor to any potential crowd questions here while we go. And then just let me get back to the app here because I traveled away from it. Actually, what I did was end it by accident because I'm a hero trying to go to Instagram and do that at the same time. Um, Dude, that's awesome, man. So much great insight. What I'd love you guys to do is I'd love you to go visit the website that'll be in the introduction and the end of this podcast once I've created. But visit the site on 180drums.com / it'll have to be fill in the blank, probably just / Stix the drummer.
Yeah.
But get on there and leave us some comments. Let us know what you think. If you have questions for Stix, you can ask him there, or you can reach out to him like he's mentioned a number of times. You can reach him directly on social media, and I would encourage you guys to do that because, man, the
Yeah,
guy is
just not Instagram because I don't always get those. They don't always go through. But Facebook, you know, is the way. Facebook.com / Six Drummer. I'm always, you know, my door's all. I guess my virtual door is always open.
I love it. I love it, man. But that's
Yeah,
amazing because that's access that a lot of people, don't always get, right? That's a pretty
yeah,
special type of access. So, man, I just wanted to say thanks so much for coming on the show today. I'll open the floor real quick to any questions people might have for Stix right now who are joining. Again, Stix is the drummer for Ariana Grande, so if there's some things you guys want to ask, I'll give you the next few minutes to kind of gather some questions, gather some thoughts. But, man, thanks so much for being on the show today. If you could share anything with a young up-and-coming drummer, what would be your number one tip to them?
I would say, I don't know, man. I would say that anything is possible. You just gotta put your mind to it and just do it. Don't have a plan B. Make your dreams your plan A and do it. You know,
Yeah, that's great,
like
man.
seriously, like don't because if you have a plan B, you will end up doing plan B.
Yeah. Now, when it
So,
comes to Brandon Ackerman asked a great question here. When it comes to gaining success right now online, what would you suggest to a drummer who's trying to build his social following?
um, I would I would say be real about who you are, but and this is also in my book as well, like a chapter about social media. But one thing that I'm glad you brought that up because one thing that I've been seeing lately is that and it's all great, but a lot of drummers our musicians have been playing for likes and comments versus playing for the gig.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
You know what I
So,
mean?
not putting up too many videos where you're just shredding, also putting up
I
videos
mean,
where you
I
showcase.
love I love that stuff. Like, you know what I mean? I say do it, but just make sure that like you have a good balance of what you can do as a drummer, you know? Like just obviously just shedding and having videos up that of you just shedding is not going to get you hired because the first thing that people do nowadays is when they consider hiring you is they look you up on social media. Social media is a new background check. And I quote that from my book.
I love it. Social media is a
It
good
is.
background check. You're totally right, man.
It is. Because like like for example, I got some stuff coming up, and we're looking for like horn players. You know, I had hit up my friends and say, hey, do you know any horn players? He gives me their name and number, but before I call them, what I do, I go on
Yeah,
Facebook,
absolutely.
and I go look and see what kind of person they are, and I go look, okay, they got any videos up? All right, they're a good person, they're a great cat. Let me call them up. So I would say, definitely make sure that the quality of stuff that you put up is great. Not the quantity, but the quality of stuff is great. And once your quality is good, you'll get because when it comes to Instagram, people don't necessarily like you; they like what they see. I'm just keeping it
Right.
real. Just keeping it real.
It is
Like,
tough, man. I've seen a lot of drummers who get a massive following and maybe aren't doing the best stuff to complement music or even really showcasing the best skills, but they get a following of people who are maybe a little bit green to what talent really is meant to be. And
yeah,
but you can't fight that either, right? That's the
yeah.
tough
It's
part.
just, it just, you just gotta keep in mind that people like what they see, you
Yeah.
know. And I've been fortunate enough to to keep a following, I guess, so to speak, but just so they people know that like I lose followers every day, man.
Really?
Like 30, yeah, about 30 or 40 followers every day, because like I know, and it's nothing personal, but sometimes people they just want to see drum stuff. But I post funny videos all the
Yeah, you
time.
do. You
I'll
know who
post
else
like,
posts funny videos is Calvin Rogers. I die every day.
yeah,
So
but
good.
that's just us just being who we are, and just like we see a funny video, we want to share it. But some people just want straight drums, and they're like, "Oh, he's not giving me that." It don't mean that they don't like me. It just mean like, "Oh, he's not giving me that. I don't want to see this content, so I'm gonna unfollow him."
Sure,
But
yeah.
I would say, man, I feel like I'm just giving up too much of my book, man. But I would say this: you gotta have a good social media presence, but also have a good clean presence. Like, don't be going on rants and raves and being negative, because that will definitely get you an unfriend or unfollow from people, because
Yep.
people don't want to see negative stuff, and they don't want to see people just ranting about nonsense, man. So also, people look at social media as like, this is who you are, even though it might be fake, but all we know you by is social media. So if you're posting,
Wow.
I know, I won't say any names, but I know somebody who is kind of like a pervert online.
Oh
You
no.
know what I mean? And he says some of the most obnoxious things, but he wonders why he doesn't get gigs. And
Yeah. Well,
and I
guys, like the moral of the story here is, your business card nowadays, your business card and your reputation. Before someone even knows you, they know you, right?
yeah,
I had a funny thing, man. So the business partner and the co-founder for me, one of my closest friends as well, is Steve Augustine of Thousand Foot Crutch. And Sticks, you spent a ton of time hanging out with Steve. He's a good
yeah,
dude.
I
Love
love
the
that dude,
guy.
man.
One of the
Love,
things that
bro.
just happened to me the other day is I met his band members. I met, Joel from TFK, the
Yeah,
bass player, and Trevor
yeah,
McNeekin, the singer. And what's funny is, both these guys, I had never met them before. They had never met me in person, but obviously I knew of the band, and obviously they knew of me because Steve's on the phone with me all the time. And right away we felt like we knew each other. It was so
yeah,
bizarre. It was like
yeah,
they knew a lot about my life, and I knew a lot about
yeah.
their lives. Some of that was through friends, but most of it was through social
Yeah,
media, right?
like I knew that Joel, the bass player, was in the hospital
Yeah,
for. See, because I follow Steve on social media,
there you
so it's
go.
like, I mean, and I don't want to single out anybody, but the truth is, like you say, people before they actually reach out to you, they're gonna go on Facebook, man. I mean, even the police do that nowadays. They want to find out some stuff about you, they're gonna go to Facebook, man. I mean, it's the new background check, man.
Absolutely, absolutely, man. And something that I think is so important is, also when it comes to promotion, when it comes to promoting yourself and trying to get people to check out what you're doing, is really being conscious of never coming across like you're just trying to take and take and take, right?
Yeah,
I think it's really important to pay attention to what people are doing and offer your support and
Mm-hmm.
be engaged with what other people are doing. And then, if they find what you're doing interesting, they'll come seek you out. But I
Yeah.
see a lot of guys as well just like blasting themselves with promotion. And the
Yeah.
only thing that
And
happens,
tagging people too. You
yeah,
know.
dude,
And I
you know
don't
what?
mind that.
I gotta
I
say
don't
right
mind
now,
that.
Josh, you know Josh from Drummers Corner? You know Drummers Corner, right?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Love
Yeah.
those guys. Just connected with Josh recently, and he's such a good dude. So I'd suggest all of you go
Go
check
follow.
out
Yeah.
go check out Drummers Corner and really get involved with what he's doing because we think it's awesome and we support the dude. And he's on here, and right away, he's getting engaged in the conversation. I'm losing my train of thought a little bit because I'm thinking about Drummers Corner and how much I want to go geek out on looking at drummer vids. But right away, man, it's like he said it's all about giving, and it's so true. It's like it's all about giving back to the community. I mean, I'm not sitting here right now, Jake Nicole. I'm certainly not sitting here getting paid to be on Periscope for free, right?
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
I'm not getting paid either. I just want to give back. You
that's
know.
right. 180 Drums isn't sending Sticks a big check. I'd love
Yeah.
to, but
You
we're
know. But
taking an
it's just
opportunity to share, right? And to
yeah.
talk about what's going on. And I think that it's so important for guys to, and I'm not at all criticizing anybody whatsoever. What I'm trying to say is that the most important thing you can do is do your best to care about what other people are doing, showcase your talent in a way where you invite people in, and then you don't hammer them with stuff, but you're
Yeah.
just really, because it's like, man, I have a tendency, at times when I was younger too, to really want to draw a lot of attention to myself with different stuff that I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
And, the goal is to stand behind people you support in and then reach out to them and invite them in to check out, what you're doing and look for mentors, man. Like mentors,
Yeah.
mentorship was something that drastically changed my life. Having
Yeah.
people who kind of guided me through.
Yeah. And I mean, and like speaking of giving, like if you go to my Instagram um, page, I kind of did this thing where all week I was honoring like some of my favorite drummers, and but it
Yeah, I
wasn't even
love that, man. I
yeah
love that.
it wasn't any well known drummers. Well, no, I won't say well known drummers, but it was more like guys who really don't get a lot of credit, I guess so to speak. But
Right.
guys that I know personally and that they were like great guys, and I just wanted to give them a shout out because they're like decent musicians, you know. But like I was like, you know what, man, I'm gonna take a week off and not just blast me. I'm gonna like use my platform to like to give to somebody else, you know.
Yeah,
So that was
absolutely.
you know I'm gonna do that more often too because I love doing that stuff, man.
Yeah, that's great,
Drum
man.
drum community, man. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, it's been so awesome hanging. Sticks, we love you, man. It's been so great. If there's any last questions, fire them away now. But, dude, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your insight. When are you expecting to launch your book?
I was trying to launch it around my birthday, which is in like 2 weeks, or actually next week, the 17th.
What? It's the
Yeah,
17th?
yeah. My birthday is what almost 7 days from now. Well, 8 days from now. But because like I just came up with like two new ideas for it for chapters, so I'm gonna have to pound that out. But I plan on having it done by December 1st. Like that's what I'm shooting for.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That's
Yeah.
great. Guys, look at the date right there. I wrote it down because I don't want to forget. November 17th, Sticks' birthday. What should we all just send you those beans?
Dude, bro, a lifetime of Boston baked beans, man.
Amazing.
Can't go wrong with that,
Can't
man.
go wrong. Maybe you'll get an endorsement one day. All right, dude, just before you go, one question we had that I've seen repeated a few times is what do you think of Musicians Institute? Would you recommend something like that?
Yeah, I love that school, man. If it wasn't if it wasn't for MI, I wouldn't be on an Ariana Grande gig because
Wow, why so?
my friend who got the MD job, uh, he got it through MI.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, so MI is where it's at, man. I really love what they got going on there. Actually, Troy, which is one of my friends, and he's the MD for Ariana. He recently did because he went there. He went to MI. He recently did like a testimonial, I guess, and we went down there and we toured the school, and they got all new stuff, man. And it's like literally like it's hands on. Like what you're gonna do in the world of music, you're gonna learn at MI.
Yeah.
Like they have this thing called the live room. So it's a class where like you got a drummer, bass player, keyboard player, vocalist, and then like the sound guys, lighting guy over here, and everyone's pretty much like they'll start off by sound checking, like you do everything you're gonna do on a gig.
So you'd say it's a pretty useful
Yes,
tool. Yeah.
I say go there, man. Like I even thought about going there, but one of my friends convinced me, was like, don't spend all that money.
Yeah, yeah. I would never ever bash it. I actually really heavily considered it myself. Being from Canada, though, I'm pretty sure the expenses were through the roof for me as a non-American as well.
Yeah.
It's tough, man. I mean, the truth
But,
is,
it's in the scene. The
it's
scene
in the
is
scene.
in
Yeah,
LA.
yeah, absolutely.
And
I think it's a pretty good way to get a foot in the door.
yeah.
Let me ask you this, and this isn't to pit one against the other at all. It's just because we're getting ready to close. Why do you think what 180 Drums is doing, and it's also I want you to be honest. Why do you think it matters?
What you guys doing at 180
Yeah, what do you think of
oh,
online lessons? Like, what's your take on it all?
well, I like it because number one, online lessons you can go at your own pace, and it's really cheap. I mean, how much is 180 for a year?
$180.
So 100. So look, $180 would get you probably like 2 hours with me.
Right.
You know,
Yep.
face-to-face lessons. $180 gives you a year subscription with like so many drummers that you can choose from, and it's so much content that you can actually say, "Wow, today I want to learn something from Luke Holland," or "Today I want to go and learn something from like Nate Robinson," or "Today I want to go with Stix." You know what I mean? So it really stretches your money, man, and you can get you pretty much you get more for the buck, because to take any personal lesson from any one of us will be way more than $180, for 2 hours.
Yeah, no
So it's
kidding. I
very
mean,
affordable, and you're saving money, and you're going at your pace at the comfort of your home. And 180, and one thing I like about 180 drones, um, um, is that you guys break the stuff down. Like there's PDFs, there's you can comment and ask questions, but also like the lessons never really seem like they're going over anybody's head because it's broken down so good,
awesome, dude.
and
That's
you have the practice lessons, so it's like you can play along with the lesson, you can learn and then play along. I mean, you can't beat it, man.
Dude, this is like I should be hiring you to write copyright for us. This is way more than I was planning on. Yeah, I just think it's cool because, guys might think then why would you ever go on that? But I think the beauty of it for someone like you is that now it adds more awareness to your capability to
Well,
teach.
can I be honest? So
Yeah.
I have a lifetime membership at 180 Drums, and I go in there and watch videos all the time, just so you guys know. So, and I am considered a professional drummer, playing for a huge artist, and I even go on 180 Drums.
Dude,
And I
I think we need to have you write that down or allow me to use that as a
No,
testimonial.
you
It's amazing.
can, dude, because but it's the truth, because like, I have a lifetime login that you given me, and I'm always watching like Luke's stuff, you know what I mean, and like I'm watching, especially Nate Robinson, man. That's another guy that I recently kind of connected with through Instagram.
Oh,
Great,
cool. You've connected with
yeah,
Nate.
yeah, great guy, man. Great guy, great drummer, man, and he has a great story too. Like his documentary on YouTube is like amazing. But yeah, man, like I watch a lot of these guys, man. And even for me, I'm still learning. So I'm using 180 drums for like new ideas and like new chops and new grooves. So
Dude, that's
so I'm
amazing.
not
Thank
I'm
you
not
so
I'm
much,
not
man.
telling you anything that I'm not doing myself already.
Wow, awesome. That is such a
Yeah.
great insight. And what I would hope you guys get out of this is that I would hope for anyone who's checked out Stix's lessons on 180 that I mean, I think the reality is I would be so encouraged watching those for the first time. I felt the same way being in the room is that after seeing those video lessons, if you're ever in LA, you should want to reach out to Stix and have lessons in person to go even
Yeah.
deeper and have him look at your playing, because what's so beautiful is that it's so affordable because it's not meant to completely take away in-person lessons. That should never
No,
go away. So
no.
y'all should
But
still
it's
be.
like just how social media has connected us all together. Online lessons allows you, if you're living in Russia, you can get lessons from your favorite drummers, man. It's
Right.
just it bridges the gap of distance, you know. So I'm talking too much because I'm really like all the stuff that we talked about today is like somewhat in my book, dude. And
Cool,
it's
man.
just like I talk about networking, how to network. I talk about social media, how to use that platform. The pros and cons of that. So yeah, stay tuned, man. I'm December 1st, man. My book's gonna be out, and I'm actually gonna do a 1 day free promotion, so
Ooh.
you can download the book for free. But
Look
it'll be
out.
available only 1 day, and obviously I'll shoot you guys an email and the link and stuff. But
Yeah, you
it
better.
yeah, I want to make money off of it, but I also want people to get. I want to reach people. So 1 day, man, free promotion. Download it, read it. Write reviews. It's gonna be something good because there's nothing really out there like this. And I've done my research. Everything's all about music business and how to build your brand, but nothing really telling you like the real steps that it took to get to where they got to.
Yeah.
The reality of the struggles, the ups and downs. It's not all peaches and creams. It's not by luck. It's by hard work, persistence, and prayer. Like that's it.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yep.
Well, we look forward to that, man, and we will definitely launch all that stuff and help promote it and share it via email, via all social media. Dude, thank you so much for your time today, man. You're awesome. I'm really excited to see where things continue to take you. And knowing that you're just getting started as a drummer is
Oh man.
encouraging. Dude, so
Yeah, I have a
exciting.
long way to go, man.
Long
A
way to
long way
go.
to go, but I'm gonna get there, man. You gotta keep trucking along.
Keep chugging
That's it.
along. Stix, thanks for joining us today, bro.
All right, bro. Sounds good, man.
Peace.
Peace.
Wow. Stix McJimson. Now, I hope that you guys garnered as much as I did in the last 2 hours. It's amazing when you begin to get into people's stories and really hear how they've shaped themselves as a drummer, how they've worked their butts off like Stix has, and how pro they are. Stix continues to treat his job like exactly that, like a job. He's professional, he's on time, he's rehearsed, he's prepared, and man, I'm so inspired every time I talk with Stix. The inspiration just continues to grow. So, guys, awesome. Please head to 180drums.com/Stix with an X, STIX, the drummer, and check out his blog post there and see some more, see some pics. There's interviews on there as well. Maybe you're actually coming across this podcast from the site. Take a look at the pics. Please leave a comment. And guys, if you want to head to the iTunes store and actually rate the podcast, that's really helpful for us and encourages us to keep doing what we're doing and helps rank the podcast so that other drummers can discover it. But yeah, guys, we're really excited to have this podcast sponsored by 180 Drums, and the fact that we get to offer online lessons with the best drummers in the world with guys like Stix is truly an honor, and it's a privilege, and we're really passionate about it. We're really excited to continue to see the site grow and flourish as it has been, and we can't do it without you guys. So thank you so much for your support. I'm so excited to be a part of the 180 family and be a part of growing it and seeing other drummers come to improve their skills and be encouraged. So thank you guys for creating a space that's encouraging and exciting. All right, guys, until the next time, we will see you later.